Hey Vision fans, it's Tom Kunti from Shanghai back for another Eurovision reaction video. The running order for the second semi-final of Eurovision 2022 is out. I'm going to analyse all the positions and see who this helps and who it could put in trouble. So let's kiki. So I've already done a reaction to the first semi-final running order. I'll try not to repeat too many of the things I already said on that. But briefly, I will say the running order is decided by the producers. Obviously, the first and second half is drawn randomly, but then after that, they are placed according to what fits the most based on the submissions submitted by the countries. They'll submit how many people are on stage, what type of equipment, what colors they're using, what lights, etc. The producers only have 35 seconds to get everything on and off, so they need to take that into consideration. Plus, they need variation between the songs. They don't want back-to-back songs that sound the same or look the same or have the same color scheme. So there's very much a variation and a smoothness within the story of the semi-final that they need to create. We only have the information of the songs right now, so we have to try and speculate a little bit why they came to these decisions. The opening song is Finland. For me, that makes a lot of sense. A few people will probably know them. It's very upbeat. Apparently what they're going to go for is very, very high energy. We saw in their Young K performance that they had these bright yellows and blacks, which I really liked, and they had this interaction behind them with the bird flying around and the tank girl cartoon. So I think it's a really good song to open. Hopefully Larry's vocals are better, but I'm going to talk about that more. I'm not going to talk about qualifications in this video. I'm going to do that when I do my qualification videos, which I'm currently writing. But yeah, like opening the first isn't absolutely the worst thing in the world. We actually see the qualification record from the first position is actually pretty decent since the producers started deciding the order themselves in 2013. So I wouldn't worry too much about them. I think it's a very, very, very good opener, and I think a lot of people were already predicting this. Next up, we've got more white and blue though with Israel bringing in their 5 qualification streak. I really think this is a nail in the coffin for them. It's going to be very, very difficult for them to stand out from the second position when there are 16 songs following them, plus Romania, which is probably the one that's most similar. Ireland's a little bit similar as well in terms of a tone. They're 10th and 12th, so they're much, much later on in terms of televotes. So yeah, this is going to be really difficult for Israel. They're going to have to really show that they know what they're doing in terms of staging. They've got that 5 qualification streaks, so they obviously know what they're doing, but this is going to be the biggest challenge that they've ever had in that streak. If they can surmount this, it'll be extremely impressive. But yeah, it makes sense for this song. It's more kind of like poppy after the rock song, so it's a good contrast. Then from Israel, we're going to Serbia. I had a little bit of a panic attack when I saw this. I really love Serbia this year. I'm a little bit more worried for them because it is quite early. 3rd place is definitely a place you can qualify from. I find it interesting that Serbia and Azerbaijan being put together because I both feel like they have quite a dark tone. So I'm guessing that there must be some fundamental difference between them. Serbia's obviously got this quite stark, almost religious, sinister feel, which they have in the national performance. Maybe they're changing it. We don't know anything about Azerbaijan, but we know that they tend to bring very deluxe, very expensive looking staging, very dramatic. So probably Azerbaijan will probably have lots of fire and whatnot, and that's going to be the contrast with Serbia, which is going to be more arty, art house, performance art style. But yeah, I'm a little bit more concerned for Azerbaijan as well, quite early. Plus there was this little kind of like mini battle between Azerbaijan and Australia. They were quite similar. Which one was going to come first? Azerbaijan has come first. This decision must be based off of the colors that they're using and whatever their stage story is. It's better to separate them that way. Then in 5th, we have Georgia. I've just posted my Georgia reaction video to their music video. This is one of the songs I'm really waiting to see what the visuals are the most. I think they're going to come with something really, really big. They are working with someone who's from Sacha Jean-Baptiste's team. So I think that this is a good contrast to Azerbaijan, which is probably going to be quite dark and serious. And then we're coming into Circus Mircus, who are going to bring like a lot of happiness and joy. And then we're going into Malta, and we have our first ad break after the 6th song. So I presume that they put Malta there because they want to drag the piano on for Emma. I think she's probably trying to get as many jury votes as possible, and playing a piano is definitely a way to help with the jury. So that makes sense to me. They'd like drag the piano on and they have more time to take it off. Plus also you need to consider when they're doing the swap, it's one thing to have to take off stuff in that 35 seconds. It's another thing if you need to put more stuff on. So it's okay to have one staging heavy song in that within those 2, but if you've got 2 back to back, you probably need an ad break, and that's what's happening here because they're dragging off the piano for Malta, but they need to bring in all the rock instruments for San Marino. So that kind of explains for me why they've put them 6th and 7th. So yeah, I would imagine that San Marino are going to go for a very similar performance to what they had in the national final. It's just going to be them rocking out. I imagine that Carlisle is going to do something dramatic. I feel like he needs to get extra attention, being kind of a little bit earlier. But yeah, obviously musically, we've got Indie, Georgia going into Scandi pop with Malta, and then into rock. So there's a nice contrast musically here, so it definitely fits in lots of different ways. From the rock of San Marino into, again, very similar vibe to Azerbaijan, this very dark ballad by Sheldon Riley. I thought their staging in Australia's side was great. And yeah, color scheme wise, it makes sense to put them between San Marino, which will probably be kind of like Morocco. You'll probably have some lots of makeup on and whatnot, kind of like colorful makeup. And then also Cyprus on the other side in ninth, who I imagine are going to go have kind of lots of whites and maybe some beautiful florals or something like that. The song has a real earthy, flowery quality to it, so I wouldn't be surprised if they brought colors in that aspect, and that'll be good contrast to Australia. From Cyprus, then we're going into Ireland now. So yeah, kind of slightly similar. They're kind of like slightly more upbeat bops, but I suppose Cyprus has more of this ethnic feel, so they felt okay putting them together, because maybe Cyprus will go for more of a classical feel with classical styling or something like that, and then maybe with Ireland going with more a modern look. I hope that Ireland's going for something ambitious that's very different from Cyprus to really make it pop. Then going from Ireland, kind of upbeat bop, into something a little bit more kind of like indie, Alanis Morissette with North Macedonia, and then into Estonia which I think the producers would be very happy about Estonia, because it's a very useful song to have for them as producers, because no matter where they put it, it'll be different from the two songs either side of it. So I'd say they were kind of looking as their Estonia as a kind of tool for them to separate songs that sounded similar. That's also coming before the second break. I'm not entirely sure why. Maybe there's something in the staging that needs to. It could just be that actually none of the songs in the second half have that much staging wise, and that wasn't as much a consideration by the break, and maybe they're just focusing more on differentiating the music types. In his staging in Easterlau, he really just had the two cowboys, which I hope he kind of gets rid of. So I don't think there's going to be too much equipment on stage. Then coming after the break, we've got Romania. A little bit unfortunate for Romania, actually they're in the 13th spot, because that means they're coming after the break, so hopefully they aren't going to lose too many televoters out. I really do feel like they need the televoters more than they need the jury. So that's a little bit of a disadvantage for them. I can't think of a reason they'd have any equipment. I think they're probably just going to be going on dancing. Maybe there's a bit of pyro that needs to be set up or something. From Romania into Poland, I have seen an interview with them saying that they are going to go a little bit more ambitious with their staging. It's not going to be as static and a little bit boring as the staging in their national final was. But a good mix up there from Western into kind of this Spanish infused summer pop song, and then into this opera EDM. Again, Poland is another one of those songs that's kind of useful for the producers, because no matter where you put it, it's going to be quite different. And then going into Vladana, I think this is a pretty good draw for Vladana. She's got, I think this is an okay draw for Vladana. She's got Poland on one side, and then she's got Belgium on the side. So I think that'll kind of help her stand out. This Balkan ballad is going to be quite individual within the whole running order. There's not really too much else like it. So I'm hoping that'll be a little bit of an extra notch for Montenegro that they really, really, really need. I think it's going to be really tough for them to qualify. So they need all the help that they can get. Then into Belgium, which people haven't really been speaking of. It's a very good draw now at the end. Coming into these 15, 16, 17, 18 spots, you're really, really fresh in people's memories. The qualification rates are getting higher and higher as we go on. So definitely that's a big bump for Belgium, that increasing their chances of qualifying. Nobody's really talking about that, but at the end of the day, that doesn't really matter. You only need people who are watching the show in the night to talk about you. And then coming into Sweden, honestly, you could put Sweden in. The buzz this is creating, I still don't connect to the song, but the buzz this is creating, people are still talking about this as a winner. It feels like with that amount of buzz, it's a song you could have put anywhere and it still would have qualified. But yeah, it's a nice breakup from the kind of R&B going into this more pop ballad, Lana Del Rey, Lady Gaga vibe, and then going next into an EDM song, Czech Republic closing, which I'm really, really happy about. I feel like Czech Republic are kind of due a bit of a lucky draw when they got second place in 2016 and ended up getting 0 points in the televote, and then also in 2018 or 2019, I think, Friend of a Friend, that came second in its semi-final, but then ended up getting drawn third in the final, which I thought was very, very unfair. So I'm glad to see Czech Republic getting a little bit more luck, a little bit of payback in terms of that, and being allowed to close the show. I'm really happy about that, because that massively boosts their chances. We know that being last isn't a guarantee that you can qualify. We saw that with Trana Park and also with Denmark last year. but I think this song is much, much higher quality than those ones, and I already thought it had a good chance to qualify, and this absolutely solidifies it for me now that they will go through, which I'm very, very happy about. Oh, it doesn't solidify for me, it just makes it, it just brings it up even more. Overall, I think the running order that they come up with makes a lot of sense. Probably the one that is the most confusing is Serbia and Azerbaijan being put together, and also why Estonia and Romania, why are they at that ad break? But I think that'll make sense when we start to see the rehearsals and we start to see what color palettes people have used. It'll all make sense. I think they tend to get these running orders extremely correct. I think they do a really great job with them. In terms of who I think the winners of this are, definitely Belgium I think is a winner. I think this increases their chances. I think Montenegro have got a chance to shine as well. Czech Republic, as I've already said, definitely benefiting from this. Cyprus, I think this increases their chances. They got a first half draw, but really they're quite late. They're in that 9th slot. I think that helps them. Yeah, they're the ones who I think have like been massively helped. I don't think Sweden really need the help. People who I think of are like in a worse place. I think obviously Israel, I think this is massively going to affect them. I think it's pretty much for me, unless they pull out a massive surprise, I think this has all but killed their chances. I think Azerbaijan's a little bit unfortunate now. They kind of lost that mini battle with Australia on who will be drawn later. So I still think they can make it, but it's a little bit more extra work for them. And then I feel a little bit bad for Romania coming after the break and San Marino coming after the break as well. So those are the people I probably think are the most negatively affected by it. But at the end of the day, if you've got a good song or if you've got amazing staging, not just the song, remember what Doritos did, their staging absolutely brought them from zeros to heroes. So really there are excuses, but there's ways to work around it. So really at the end of the day, you've just got to find a way to get through. In any case, that's what I thought about the running order for the second semi-final. Please let me know what you think in the comment sections down below. Who do you think has been screwed over? Who do you think has benefited from this? And what do you think in general about the order? And thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in another Eurovision reaction video very soon. Goodbye.